There it goes. Okay, go ahead.
I lived in Murfreesboro all my life. After returning home from the Army, my dad finished his education at MTSU, MTSC at the time. During this time, he and my mother and younger sister Judy and I moved to Ewing Avenue so we could be near MTSC. I had a ready-made friend just down the street. My mother's best friend lived a couple of houses down on West Street. She had a daughter 3 years older than me, and we became instant, forever friends. Carol and I had many adventures through the years, and this one is a heartwarming one for me. Carol and I were playing outside one beautiful sunny day. We were at my house, and my mom was inside looking after my younger sister Judy. We noticed that Mama's flowers had no blooms.
Oh,
Her flowers were a long row of irises along the border of our yard. And surprisingly, the neighbor just across the street had what seemed like millions of flowers, all in bloom and in every shape, size, and color. Naturally, we thought it was a good idea to cut off those blooms and tape them onto Mama's flowers. We didn't take them all, only enough that each of Mama's had a beautiful bloom. Oh, it looked so amazing, and it was so much fun. Until Mrs. O'Gwen came over to see my parents. She told them that she had intended to enter those flowers in the flower show and had expected to have blue ribbons again, as she did almost every year. She was distraught, and my parents were upset, and I was in big trouble.
sure were.
Mama let Carol's mother know, and it turned out that poor Carol got a spanking, and I only got a long lecture. I guess it was because I was only 4 and she was 7 years old.
Oh,
Over the years, Carol reminded me that she got the spanking and I did not. Many years later, when I had a family of my own and worked at the bank, I had a new customer come into the bank where I worked. He sat down at my desk and introduced himself. He told me that his name was Mr. O'Gwen.
oh boy.
I thought to myself that name was familiar, and then he told me that his address was Ewing Avenue. At that point, I knew exactly who he was. I asked him if his wife grew beautiful flowers. He said that she did, but she had died a few years ago. I sat there a few seconds without speaking, and it seemed like a long time. I asked Mr. O'Gwen if he remembered 2 little girls picking his wife's flowers and taping them to the flowers across the street.
But he said yes.
His eyes lit up and a big smile spread over his face, and he said, "Yes, I do." And it took some time for her to get over that day. And he said, "Was that you?" I said, "Yes, I was the younger of the 2 girls, and I'm so sorry." We talked a while about Mrs. O'Gwen and the old neighborhood while we conducted the business which brought him into the bank. We said goodbye, and he gave me a big hug and left. The very next day, Mr. O'Gwen came into the bank with a big bouquet and gave them to me.
Wasn't that cute?
He said not to feel bad about picking those flowers so long ago, and that Mrs. O'Gwen had eventually gotten over the event, and she enjoyed sharing this great story with the other ladies. I did never see him in the bank again after that day, but I have thought about his kindness and his tender heart many times.
And that's something.
Yeah.
That's really good.